This is Crimson 60620. Thank you for watching my video. Also, you can catch me on these social media platforms. And if you want to see some great art, hit my DeviantArt page up. And finally, support my Patreon. Thanks.
I'm happy to have him on. Hey, how you doing, Crimson?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just fucking enjoying the day. Yeah, so we you connected with me after watching the True Forced Loneliness at War. And I watched some of your videos, you watched some of my videos. And what's up, man? Like, let's have this conversation.
Yeah, I think we got a lot in common because it's well. First of all, we've both been on the Bill Grayhouse stream. We've both been. I mean, you weren't banned though. You left voluntarily because I think it was a little. First of all, they wouldn't let you talk very much. For one thing, they kind of dominated the conversation with the lady who was on, and she had a lot to say, but it was what she was saying was just kind of mediocre. It was stuff that you can get asking any woman on the street. You can basically get the same opinion out of this lady who was on Annika, her whatever her name is. But you had done a 2 hour video in response to Bill Greathouse, commenting on what he said. In addition to that, you've done other videos, shorter videos with other TFLers commenting on what they have just kind of the character personality issues that maybe contribute to their state in the relationship world. So I thought it was really interesting.
All right. So the first thing I wanted to actually say, if you're somebody that feels that you may do some self harm to yourself or others, speak with someone, get help. It is part of the human condition that we all have mental health issues at some time or another. People can see a broken leg, people can see a broken arm, but not too many people can see when you have mental or psychological damage. So if you need help, ask for it. And that was one of the reasons why I couldn't continue on the stream, because somebody called into the show and actively said they had self-harm tendencies. And I'm not okay with saying that that's okay. If you're going to have
Yeah,
that situation, please seek help. It's okay. We all have issues where we need to actually talk to somebody. And the licensed professional is actually best. Now, go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh no, yeah, it's like we people on that channel, they're not trained to deal with this kind of and that guy's been on the show the week before, and it's like, how do you respond to that coming on a show? You're here to have a debate and someone's coming on threatening self-harm. How do you talk to that?
Well, the first thing you do, you don't make light of it. Self harm is one of the things that affects a lot of men. But the sad part about it is it affects women too. There are actually more women that attempt suicide more than men. They just do it by less violent means and things that they can actually recover. Men just blow their brains out. That shows that there is a systemic issue where we need to address mental health for everyone, not just one sex over the other, but for everyone. There
Yeah,
is a culture issue that is going on where I am of the mindset that we do not need to go back to the nuclear family where it's it's two kids, one wife, one husband. We need to go back to a more communal aspect where it was a community of people living together to help support just each other. The old African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child, goes to, it takes all of us, because we're social creatures, to actually make sure that we're all okay. The degradation of not just the family, but this rugged individualism has caused a serious problems where it went from, you don't need this whole big family, you don't need this whole big clan, you need this one small family, and then even more so to, you just need yourself, and that's causing a problem for a myriad of different people.
Yeah, I mean, you can go back to in times gone by, men and women depended on each other for survival, and this whole mindset of you get married to a woman, you move out, you go kiss ass to a banker for 30-year mortgage and pay three times the value of the house in the interest, or you go rent off a landlord and make this other person money. Back in the days that you had a community of people living together, both the male and the female work, by the way. It wasn't like this thing where the male was going out to a job and the woman's at home over him dusting the house and playing Susie Homemaker. No, she had a hard job too. She was taking care of large animals. Sometimes she was walking 5 miles with gallons of water on her head to bring water back. It was a very physically intensive job back before the nuclear family kind of thing. But and who watched the kids? The grandparents watched the kids because they didn't have the physical abilities. A male or female in their 20s, 30s, or 40s, their bodies were still ready to work. And the female's job was just as labor intensive as the males. So
Or it was the cousins down the way in the house. Like when you think about a lot of the Middle Eastern settlements, the houses were built on top of each other or right next to each other, in a sense where it was a community. Now, one of the biggest things that has happened that you can actually give credit to the people who says we live in a traditional family and that was when it was better. What they fail to realize that around the 70s and 80s, when money got into politics, where the cost of the worker productivity start to go up and up and up due to technology and things of that way, but compensation for the work actually started to flatline, and in some cases it actually has gone down because corporations are looking to make a profit. And when you denationalize a lot of corporations, when corporations went international, well then you start eating into their profit motive, their profit. And what happened was then you needed two incomes to actually support a family. And so the mother had to go to work. And then you needed more and more jobs. Like, how many people hear the whole phrase that millennials are lazy? But yet and still, I'm a millennial and I'm trying to do fucking YouTube. I'm trying to do art on the side to actually make enough money to sustain myself, because we have this quote unquote gig economy that's not working for anybody.
yeah, the old days are gone where you basically get with a company and take care of you into your old age. That's all gone. But in the past, before the nuclear family, your community took care of you. You didn't have a 401k. You had to have children to take care of you. You had your cousins. So there was some loyalty with your family. But I want to point out what you said about the traditional family, because this two-parent family where the dad goes to work all day, 60 hours a week in a factory, and then the mom stays at home and just cooks dinner. I don't think this is traditional, Crimson. This is like 1900s kind of thing.
No,
Traditional family is
no,
the is
I'm gonna
community.
stop you there for a second. That lasted only for about 15 years at the max, because remember, Americans got to that way because we were coming out the Great Depression. When the Great Depression, the books like The Grapes of Wrath, where you actually had families migrating from one part of the country to another. They were groups of people. They were cousins, aunties, this and that. The reason why you saw such a proliferation of wealth, especially after World War II, is the New Deal and also the GI Bill that actually helped people who generations before had lost everything because of the stock market crash. because Roosevelt's New Deal and the GI Bill, you actually had the government giving out loans at very low interest to, let's let's be fair, mostly Caucasian families. That's why we have a history of redlining in certain cities, certain towns, and certain areas. It was the government helped build wealth for a set amount of people. Now I'm not gonna sit back and say that was a bad thing, because we had a different dynamic during that time frame. Now it should have went further to help all people. That's why I'm a supporter of, you know, presidential candidate Bernie Sanders, because he's one of those people who lives in the spirit of Dr. King, where he says, "Hey, I come to liberate everybody, the oppressors and the oppressed, from the hatred or the binds or the shackles, even the social economic uh, shackles that hold us all." And that's one of the reasons why we need to look at it more as a community, as in men and women coming together to address, hey, it's not beneficial for us to go after you in this way or go after you in that way. Let's band together and address the real people that are effectively dividing us, or having us divide ourselves. The people that has a lot of wealth and a lot of fucking power through that wealth.
Well, see, do you ever get, because this is the kind of talk they like to have on the Bill. This is what they talk about all day on that Bill Greenhouse channel, is the conspiracy and the people who own all the companies. Did you get a chance to talk about this on the channel?
Well, no, because here's the thing. And you ever heard of Hallen's razor? I keep mispronouncing it.
Oh, Occam's razor.
Not Occam's, Hallen's razor.
Oh no.
Never attribute to malice what can easily be attributed to stupidity. If you look at a lot of these people that are billionaires, some of them are not evil. We're not going to talk about the Koch brothers, obviously. But some of them are not evil. And I wouldn't even say the Koch brothers are evil. They think, what helps me? It's what helps me. Yeah, it may affect other people, but I don't think that much about other people. It's a lack of compassion. And that is also representative of the guys that do the hatred part of Manosphere. Yes, you're having a problem. Yes, you want to attain something, but how does that also affect somebody else?
Yeah, that's why I had a few commenters saying they like my channel because I don't have the hatred towards women that a lot of the masters have. My answer to my channel is like, let's enjoy our lives, male or female. I mean, yeah, you have the division of the sexes, but you can still make the most out of your life. When I see women today in their late 30s, I see, they got their house, they're renting their apartment, or they own their house. They don't need to be married. They can still enjoy their lives. They enjoy their girls' nights out. They enjoy their wine, their Netflix. But it seems like guys, it seems to be a little more. The depression seems to be a little more there. The guy, once he leaves a relationship, he's on the dating apps that very night trying to find a new partner. You know what I mean? It seems like the women are much more able to go without relationships today, wouldn't you think?
Well, that's for a couple of different reasons. The one reason is men actually lose friends as they get older. Women kind of keep around the same thing, but we're told and we're taught, and this is some polyamorous shit. Like, I'm sorry, I'm polyamorous, but we're actually taught we should have one person, a woman, should be your friend, your lover, your accounting, your co-accounting, your co-captain, your this and that. This is a lot of pressure to put on one person. Now, you can of course have like guy friends that you hang out with, and I actually want to commend the last guy, even though he had a crude way of saying it about how he escaped being somebody who was just by himself and just lonely. He was like, I got with a group of guys, and
Oh, you're talking about the guy on my channel,
yes,
COQ. Okay.
he said, I got with a group of guys and I learned how to socialize again. And it was, we got to remember, a lot of times with a lot of guys, when they get together, it's like just performative. toxic masculinity. And I say it that way because it's a performance. How, like, be honest with me. Be honest with me. How many times have you gotten around guys and somebody in that group has to act tough?
Oh man, if you're gonna spend time with your guy friends, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. If you're around your guy friends for at least an hour, it's gonna happen. You know, just it's just part of life.
But why?
I think guys have trouble letting go. They have trouble being real, being in the moment with their guy friends. They have to feel like there always has to be a future purpose, a future goal. They have to prove something to other people. It's just kind of part of it's kind of insecurity in a way because it's like they don't have a guy who's confident. You know, a guy like let's say like a vet who's been like shot out in battle. Like he has an innate confidence. He's not trying to act. He'll joke around with you. He'll say whatever he wants. You know, because once you've been shot at, he's like he's not trying to act for people. You know what I mean?
So, and that's something that I've learned from other guys in my life that I know that I've talked with at work. And you know what? The funniest fucking thing. I'm an artist. I do art. And some of the best times that I've had talking or just associating with other guys is artists. Now, yes, the stereotype about artists actually expressing themselves through art is fucking true. Like, it's fucking true. But it's a different thing. Like, it's one of those things where we need to understand that the only two emotions that a male has is not anger and horny. So,
Well, I think that, and coming in traditional American society, artists they kind of paint it in a feminine light. But in my opinion, and I'm not an artist, so I'm saying this from outside the box. I'm not a musician, but the studies have shown that testosterone is correlated with your musical ability. Okay, so I think our artist spirituality and artistic, I think that's a very manly thing. But in America, after after the 1900s or so, it kind of flipped around to where actually probably before that because in the tribal atmosphere, what were the men doing? I mean, the women were kind of providing the food, doing these logistical stuff, this logical stuff. The men were making art, they were making music, they were hunting too, which is a very artistic thing too. But it's like what I'm saying, Crimson, is this idea that a man is only good for clocking into work 9 to 5, getting in his little piece of shit car, driving back home. Uh, this kind of 9 to 5 existence with 2 weeks off a year. This is not a manly existence. It's not. It's not a spiritual existence.
and you know what? Here's the thing. I know, like, I'm not a tanky, but I am a socialist. Marx actually addressed this. Marx actually said that people want to feel connected to the work that they do. People want to actually feel like the work that they do matters. We aren't designed for a cubicle farm. We actually want to make sure that we do something with our hands, both men and women. And yes, fuck, like, we get it. Like, some of the old traditions during that time frame, they were more progressive, but compared to the place we are now, like, they still were regressive. But you have people like fucking Marx that actually was beneficial to say, like, hey, we need to change our work system. You have John Maynard Keynes, like, who wasn't a big fan of Marx, but still felt that we need to have some sort of a balancing of equality when it comes to wages, or else you're gonna run into pitchforks. And right now, with the incels, with the TFLs, with the MGTOWs, they have pitchforks against the feminists or the radical feminists. But in the end, we should not be fighting each other. Yes, there are people that are extremes, but we shouldn't be fighting somebody. There is no reason why somebody who has a daughter who takes his kids to the park, a small child, should actually be looked at strange. And I know that's a point that like TFL was pointing out. It's like all men are seen as that they can't get children in a divorce. It's because this performative toxic masculinity, which says that well, men can't take care of small kids, or oh, men are getting more gets harsher prison sentence. Well, you can again address this. And Bo of the Fifth Column, I don't know if you ever heard of him. He actually
No.
has great great video about it. It's like it's because we sit back and play into that fucking stereotype. If you
Yeah.
want a change, be the change.
Yeah, it's this whole idea. Like, say, this if someone's very traditional, the guy's got kids. He comes home from his job working for some broker firm or some law firm, whatever job he does. He works 50 hours a week. He comes home and he's like, "Crap, I'm not changing the kid's diaper. Ah, nah, you do it. Nah, you do it. I work 10 hours today. You change the diaper. Like his dick's gonna fall off for changing the diaper, or he's gonna like lose his masculinity if he cooks a meal for his family. But men need to realize that that's the most manly thing you could do. Taking care of your family, that's the most manly thing you can do. Not just clocking into some job and working for some guy who's making money off you. That this is a manly thing.
I will say this: when it's 2 points. When my daughter was a newborn, this is like the day after we got out from the hospital. I literally was like, no, and at the time I told my ex like, no, stay at home. And I actually had to sneak her out the house while she was asleep. Just like, no, this is my kid too. This is my child too. And yeah, of course, my child ended up being a daddy's girl, but it was because I actually took the time to say like, it's not just a woman's responsibility to take care of a kid. It's not. And like when it comes to cooking, when it comes to cleaning, like I literally lived in a two-parent home, but I was taught cook for myself, clean for myself, make sure I can take care of myself. Because in the end, when I'm trying to get a woman to spend time with me or live with me, I didn't hire a slave. I hired I got together with a co-partner. And that's a lot of things. It's like God, like this is one of my pet peeves. If you see those guys that says a woman needs to bow down to a man, fuck no. Challenge me. Fucking challenge me. Because I
Yeah.
would explain why I feel my course of action is actually best. If you have a better plan, come on with it. Challenge me. Because not that I'm always right, which I am, but if you think that you have a better situation, a better plan, a better course of action, I'm willing to hear it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I like the equality. I agree with the equality thing 99% of the time. Okay, like because I'm a very laid back guy, and in fact, I appreciate a woman who takes care of handling all the little crap in life, like planning the vacations, hotels, planning this little stuff in life. When it comes to the main issues in life, personally, I kind of think that the guys kind of got to stand his ground in some ways because the male has a survival sense that when it comes to a pinch, I think the male his survival sense he's got to be. But as far as the little stuff, yeah, I would appreciate a woman who chooses all the little stuff and takes care of what picks what we have for dinner, decorates the house. But when it comes to the major issues like that,
Like what?
I gotta think the guy has a survival sense, and you gotta be able to choose your battles.
Like what? What's a major issue?
Well, just like the baby, like where you're gonna live and stuff like that. You can't because I mean the female is I think they um when it comes to like authority, the female is going to be more likely to accept authority and go to whatever is going to be best interest for her personal survival. Whereas the male, I think the male has that survival sense, that the distrust of authority, natural to him. Does that make sense at all to you?
So I'm gonna portray something. Shockingly enough, I know it may not be seem like it, but I'm African American, right? But the thing about it is, I get what you're saying. It's in a lot of cases it's a cultural thing. Now, one of the biggest, like me, I'm a sapiosexual. I'm also somebody who actually enjoys arguments. Like this is the reason why I do these videos, because I love arguments. I love debates. So I'm already at a step where I'm not gonna take somebody who just says do what I say because I. So that's why, and I think that's a lot of problem with a lot of these guys. They're a do as I say already type of person, and not in the top way, but in the bottom. Like the whole system of hierarchies of I'm above you, so listen to me. That's not conducive to a lot of healthy relationships.
Yeah, but I'm talking more like kind of more politically kind of thing. It's like, let's say we had a bunch of tribes together, separated by rivers. So you had like a warlord coming in. You know, we're talking Stone Age stuff. Okay, the female is going to be more capitulating to the this warlord coming in. You know, might makes right kind of thing. Whereas the male survival sense is kind of like, you know, he's more kind of the male survival sense is just a little more less capitulating to the might makes right kind of thing in kind of a primitive kind of way. If you see what I'm
Wait,
saying.
wait. So where were you? Where you getting your reasons? Where you getting your reason from?
Just just you can look at the workplace. All right, you look at how my female coworkers in my personal experiences, female coworkers, you know, when the big boss comes in, the big district manager comes in, the female coworkers tend to be kind of a little more capitulating, a little more like kissing up, whereas the male, it's kind of like, hey, you know, I'm doing my job, doing the best I can. You know, you don't like it, you can get something. You know, I have another job lined up. You know, but it's like
So bear with me. So which is better, diplomacy or force?
diplomacy. If you can avoid force, then diplomacy is better.
Okay. So you actually made a great point. There are some times, and this actually ties into the men women pay gap, which really does exist for like minded jobs. It's not 80 versus 100, it's more like 92 versus it's 92 versus $1, but that's because of socialization. Now, ironically, ironically, back in the time where we had roving warlords, except for some examples in like religious texts who at, benefited from having a male dominated society. Men and women were pretty equal. This is the funniest thing. So the Germanic and Norwegian areas, before they became Christianized or Romanized, whatever the fuck it was, men and women had pretty much equal rights. A woman can actually divorce her husband without having too much of an issue. But it came down to when it became more, how do I put it, more Christian like. That's when you saw the disruption of that power structure.
Yeah, but contrast that to the Celtic areas, like when Strabo came into like England and they see the Celts there, polygamy was kind of normal. I'm not polygamy, but people were monogamous, but for a few years with someone, then they have a new one come in, you know, and it's kind of there is no kind of looking down on divorce
Mm-hmm.
or splitting up in the Celtic area. So, but yeah, the Germans and the Norwegians, they were kind of different. They really did value marriage a lot more than other tribes.
But
Uh,
they, before they became Christianized, when they were more pagan, they actually had more egalitarian society. And it's almost as if we evolved from apes, where the couple would get together for a few years, long enough for the kid to grow up to run away from the lions as well.
so what you're saying is when you add more, when you let relationships evolve naturally, organically, you have more staying power than when you have kind of an institution kind of encouraging and forcing it. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, so here's the thing. We actually have it where humans like, and I've actually done just like looked into pop culture research about different things. But when you actually think about some of the great apes, our closest relatives, the chimps and the gorillas. So gorillas are serial monogamous. They just fuck one person, or the main the main alpha of the pack just fucks one female. Their testicle to penis size is about half of ours because it's only one man having to please so many women, so it's not too much competition. And when you look at chimps, their testicles to penis size, their penis size is 4 times what ours would be, and by relation. That's because they fuck everything.
There's more competition, kind of.
And they and our even our closest relatives in the in a sapien tree are bonobos. You know, women actually lead the tribe, and the way they resolve shit is throwing orgies.
Well, even in the tribal system, I mean, obviously they're not all alike, but in Native America,
Hunter
you had a
gatherers, yeah.
yeah, you had a male chief, but still, most scholars would agree the females actually ran the show because they could, if they didn't, if a male wasn't beneficial to society, they can have the chief boot him out. So it was a male chief, but the females were actually pulling the strings in a hunter gatherer society, right?
And it wouldn't be necessarily they were pulling the strings, but they were more respected. It's funny that you mentioned the natives. I forget it's the because I'm in the Chicagoland area. There was the Iroquois, I believe that the founding fathers mapped it out, and they actually extra credits. I don't know if you ever heard of that YouTube channel. So they actually one time they were given sponsorship money to do history, the history of Rome and the Punic Wars. And so they kind of built an extra series called Extra History, and they were talking about how in the Iroquois nations where um, it was a warlord, like you said, it was this warlord that was just like total demanding. And how do you stop a warlord like that? A great respected mother of the clan of the different. He came up as a. He's like, they were getting the peace talks together. He was just being a total ass, and she came up to him, was like, hit me. He was like, what? Wait, you're respected elders. She was like, hit me. You don't have any problems with being cruel or mean to all the women or children in your little area. And then he crumbled. He was like, shit, what type of monster have I become?
Yeah, yeah. Man, I'm totally impressed by how much history you know and your knowledge on history. Like, yeah, but I would love to keep going on this. But can we talk more about the manosphere and your videos? Man, what got you into the uh the manosphere? What was the first videos you found, and what made you want to respond to it?
All right, so some of the first videos I responded to, it ironically wasn't just the manosphere stuff, but I saw this guy. One of the ones that I remember that stands out that I get a lot of shit for, and what a lot of these guys doesn't realize is, I find it funny. It was a guy named American Corgan. He had his channel taken down, but he literally made a video talking about how women don't like open world games because you have to be a hunter and gatherer.
I don't understand.
Exactly my point. Because only men are hunter and gatherers. They're the ones that like open world games.
Open world games? Like you talking about the Olympics or what?
No, no, no. Like Minecraft. That women shouldn't like it.
Oh, oh, okay. I could.
They don't like it because reasons. And I'm like, wait, I know a lot of women that like Minecraft. I know a lot of women that like open world games. Your gender doesn't say anything about what type of games you like.
I I've known couples who have met and got married through EverQuest and World of Warcraft and those kind of open world games like that. Yeah.
He literally also made a point talking about that the only roles that women would be good in them games are fucking healers.
This whole thing about just the men have their own spirit and men are better than everything. I mean, uh, for one thing, you know, you look at like factories, like women do have an ability for like tactile, fine motor skills when it comes to like you look at shops in China, they do have the fine motor abilities. You know that translate to games too. You know.
Because they're human.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like we're human. There is, oh my God, we effectively have probably 2% difference between the genders. Like we all start off in the womb as women. We just get our hormones that turn our ovaries into fucking testicles. And a penis is just an elongated clitoris.
So I think what we can gather from this is, you know, some of the guys who are on these kind of chats saying that they can't find a partner, they got to get this stuff out of their heads before they come in. They're coming into any possible relationship or any date. They're coming in strong like this, saying with all these baggage, saying, you know, I'm supposed to do this, you're supposed to do this, I'm good at this, you're good at this, and it's kind of ruins the humanity in the transaction.
And you know what? To be honest with you, I'm a guy that likes to cook. I fucking love to cook. I I not upset, but I'm like, no, let me cook. Partly because I know what the fuck I like, and partly because I don't want to serve a woman. Excuse me, I don't want a woman to serve me. I literally feel that me cooking or me actually doing shit to just make sure a woman enjoys herself without getting anything from it is enough to say like, hey, I value you as a person, not as a piece of meat that I can stick my penis in.
Yeah, that's part of the problem. We've had guys saying that, you know, when guys talk about women like they're, you know, they're just, you know, piece of meat. It's just kind of like when that's the way you view someone. I mean, you're already off on the wrong start. You know, I wouldn't. I would if someone viewed me as that, like I wouldn't want to really hang out with them either.
One of the biggest things too, and I know a lot of guys don't get this, is you can come up to a woman, have a conversation with her, and say, hey, I like tits, or I'm sexual, I like to fuck. You can have that conversation if you don't make that the exclusive reason why you talk to her. You can even come up to say, hey, you know, I really, really want to get to know you and I like sex. And if she likes you, she's gonna put two and two together and it's gonna give you six. Not four, not five, but she's gonna give you six.
Well, it's better than some of these guys who call themselves PUAs, the pickup bars, who they're trying to play the game. They're trying to, like, you know, a woman will come on them on a dating site and say, you know, I'm looking for marriage. I'm looking to have children. You know, I'm in my 30s. I want to, and they'll kind of play the game. This is a real asshole move. You know, they'll say, oh yeah, I'm interested, when they know full as hell that they're just kind of looking for fun. But it's the only chance they got, so they're saying, "Oh yeah, I'm interested in a relationship too." And you know, meanwhile they spend 2 3 years with her, and she wanted kids, but he kind of just wasted her time. That's just a low move right there.
You know what? That brings up another point. We have to stop enforcing this whole point that if a person doesn't have children, that they're meaningless. We have to stop enforcing these, especially with our girls, because when we, a lot of people, and I have a daughter, and I've actually had to teach her like, you're a person, no matter how many kids you have, no matter how many degrees that you have, you're a person, and you don't have to always have children to be effective. And by
Yeah.
the same token, we have to actually address this with our guys to say, you're you're not less of a man if you're not fathering 3 or 4 kids or having 10 to 20 sexual partners. You
Yeah.
you are a person in the sense of being you. Now you can be a shitty adult, and at some point we're all shitty adults, but it's not taken away from your value.
Yeah, and guys beat themselves up about it because they didn't get the job they wanted. They didn't get the house their parents told them to get, and with the relationship especially, like guys especially feel like they are not worth something if they don't have a partner. I tell guys, if you're alone, when you're talking to guy friends, don't be like all sad about like, oh yeah, I'm trying to meet someone, but I haven't had any chance. No, just be happy about it. No, hey, I'm enjoying my life. I have my house set up. It's got I got my video games in here. I got my I got I'm doing what I be positive about it. Even if you're not, try to be positive about the life you're living.
But I will say this: it is okay, and that's what we as guys need to do. We need to express like, "Hey, I'm not doing too good." What is it? And this is always something that like. So, have you ever heard of the show Rick and Morty?
Yeah, yeah,
Not only is everyone on the show horrible people, what a lot of people miss, and this is something I go into in some of my videos about the death of satire and sarcasm. Rick Sanchez is literally somebody who is hurting and needs help. But a lot of people think, oh, he's smart, he's an asshole. I want to be like him. Like literally, what was that episode where the guy alien comes in and is like, oh my god, you guys don't realize this? When you say when he says his favorite catchphrase, it's like it literally means I'm hurting and I need help.
yeah. I mean, because guys have this warrior, they try to look at the warriors and they can't have any wounds and they can't show vulnerability and stuff, but really I don't think it's good for them psychologically to live through this their whole lives.
It's not, and it's from the training where you're 3 or 4 and your parent says, "Oh, don't cry, boys don't cry." The video that I did recently with Coach Red Pill, he was like, "Well, you gotta make your kid get back up, and you gotta be sometimes gotta be an asshole." It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
If
Oh, I love that. I haven't gotten through it all, but I wanted to talk to you about the topic. I'm sorry to sidetrack you, but I love what you were saying about the how they're kind of bad mouthing the kids raised from single parent families. Can you talk about that?
okay, so it takes courage to actually raise a child. It takes fucking courage, and the fact that Coach Red Pill, one of his one of my biggest problems with him is he knows he's an asshole. He knows he's ill-equipped to be a productive member of parenthood. He knows it. He's like, well, and in that video he says it's like, well, I lose a little bit of patience. I literally taught my 7 year old how to ride a bike without having to scream and holler.
Uh, sounds like a tyranny.
Like, literally, I said, and I give this example. I said, if you, when my 7 year old was learning how to ride a bike without training wheels, I was like, one rule: if you bleeding, we can stop. She fell, she started bleeding, but she got the fuck back up. And it's like, I'm okay. I want to keep going. Within 30 minutes, she was riding a bike by herself.
Yeah. But what do you think about the like? Because I I realized about 5 years ago, I was looking at the friends who have stuck around with me in my life, and the friends who have gone separate ways, and I noticed that I never really was able to form a bond and I was from a two parent family. My parents are still together, okay, but it seems like the people I have stuck with, the good friends I've had, some of them have been on my channel, the good friends I have had, the people who have a reality, who are not so naive, who we can talk about stuff, issues like you and I are doing, and we're not trying to sugarcoat stuff. We were able to talk about stuff flat out. We're not apologizing. We're able to have a conversation. These people were raised in split families. It seems like to me the people I have known who I grew up with who were in two parent families, they seem to have a naivety, and they seem to want to beat around the bush. They seem to want to, oh, you can't say that, Espio. You can't say that. Oh, it's like when I'm divorced now, so I've been divorced for like 5 years, and the friends I had who were from two parent families, they kind of instantly looked down on me because I was divorced. It's just like this attitude that comes from being raised in a two parent environment. They kind of have an attitude that a naive kind of mindset that okay, marriage has to last forever, and if you don't, you're basically. I remember I had a martial arts teacher, and he was from I don't want to say too much where he's from, but he's from Europe, but I remember I was married at the time, and I remember talking about, I had some fears about divorce and stuff. And I remember him telling me, well, why are you worried about divorce? If you get divorced, your life is pretty much over anyway, SBO. And I was like, man, that's a weird mindset, And of course, he's from a two parent family, but this mindset that your life is over just because it didn't go as planned. Well, lots of people, lots of men in history have had lives that didn't go as planned. Just because the world tells you your life should be this and this should be that, you shouldn't have this, you should, it doesn't mean life's over. And I think people from a two parent, they seem to have this naivety that unless they go into a manual labor job or unless they go into the military and they see what life is really like, and they're around people who are not uh, the usual. They don't get out of this naivety mindset. What do you think?
So, you ever heard of a small little restaurant called Kentucky Fried Chicken?
Oh yeah, I visit it quite often.
Do you know the story of Colonel Sanders?
Yeah, and Steve Oka has told us over and over again. You know who Steve Oka is, right?
No, I don't.
He's okay. Go ahead. I'll tell you that.
But he was basically a failed door-to-door salesman, and his wife left him with his kid. But he was fucking Colonel Sanders. So life never takes this set path. And just going to what you're saying, if you never actually face adversity, you don't know how to handle it. And you recoil back into yourself where you think that, hey, things are supposed to be better, and it's either horrible mind destroying depression, or it's not naivete, it's dismissiveness of everything's wrong. And like, God, I mean, like, hate to start the oppression Olympics, but there are people who, I'll say this. One of the videos I did recently was talking about how one guy was talking about how African Americans had a lot of problems that was caused by certain things. The crack epidemic in the 80s and 90s. And one of the things that I draw a parallel is to, we're having the same problem now with opioids. We're having the same problem now with just the financial instability. And people need to actually be able to face that. They need to. We can't Brave New World it anymore. Have you ever heard of the book Brave New World?
Yeah, with the Soma.
Yes, we can't Brave New World it anymore. We have to get pissed. We have to fucking band together, and we have to just say, like, enough. Stop fucking us over.
Yeah, but you see the doctor's offices, they want their money coming in for their daily visits to prescribe those opiates. So they're gonna keep prescribing those opiates because people will keep coming into the doctor to get to pay their copays. So
Well, and then that's the thing too. When it was happening with African Americans, everybody said it was a problem until they had to learn compassion. and it's not in a malicious way, but people had to learn the lesson of compassion because yeah, it's a fucking problem for everyone. It is a
Well,
problem that's happened with everyone
yeah.
for addiction.
Well, now it's isn't the death rate? It's like 90% whites now with opiates on
Yes,
overdose.
yes, and people had to learn compassion, and that's it was one of those moments like, oh, that's what you mean. The financial crash, the shit that happened in with the Midwest, or where a lot of people are losing their jobs. They're trying, and I can't even like. This is one of the reasons why I'm such a lefty. So, what are besides like the obvious? What do you have in common with someone who is at the top running a $1 billion company, or somebody who is coming across a made up line on a spinning dirt ball that's trying to make sure they just have a better life? Who do you have more in common with?
Probably one that's trying to have a better life.
This is why I can't be mad at immigrants that says, hey, I'm gonna come to a fucking better country, which we fucked up their country. We fucked over South America with our stupid ass drug war. We fucked it up. And then on top of that, businesses, they didn't just move willy-nilly out the country. They started in the north. The north became quote unquote too expensive. Then they moved to the south. And the standard of living went out, but again it got too expensive. Then they moved to Mexico and then China. What we need to do is address the shit where a handful of people own more wealth than fucking 3.5 billion people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing about, and I consider myself conservative, but I still think that this idea of capitalism, where everything, your morality and everything is all based the bottom line, which is the dollar. I mean, well, by that notion, I mean, so you shouldn't blame Clinton for selling weapon secrets to China. You know, you shouldn't, because he's just doing what's best for the economy. He's just kind of selling. You know, he's just out trying to sell stuff. You know, it's like there's no morality to money. You know, and all these people who we could be going to war with the country. Like, let's say if we went to war with China, okay, and they still continue the same tariffs and stuff on the imports. I bet 95% of people in this country would still buy the Chinese goods because it's a dollar cheaper than the American made or the European made goods or the Indian made goods. They're gonna still do what's best for them because it's the bottom line is the dollar. You know, they don't. It doesn't wouldn't even matter if we were at war with that country. You know, the bottom line is money.
I will say this. I will say this. And so this is people forget how we won the Cold War. We didn't win the Cold War with bullets. We didn't win it with rockets. We won the Cold War with fucking color TV. It is so like you actually just hit the nail on the head. Do you know the reason why we had the quote unquote preemptive strike in Iran?
No.
Well, one, Trump was concerned about his ratings because of the impeachment. But two, in Iran, over the last 2 months, they were doing massive, massive protests. People were pissed. People were pissed about just the government not taking care of their needs. So like, oh yeah, we're gonna come in and we're gonna actually do regime change by killing this general. But a lot of people didn't pay attention to why people were pissed in the street. It's the same reason why people were pissed in Brazil, Bolivia, Chile, Argentina. Workers are starting to come together and saying, fuck these guys. And so when you saw what happened with Soleimani, you actually saw something very unique. Because remember, Iran has satellite TVs with the government trying to tramp down on, but they couldn't. So they started seeing Americans. We have these motherfuckers right here, fucking cell phones. where motherfuckers are talking to him. And you know what? Interview after interview after interview of Iranians will say, we like the people of America. We just hate your fucking leaders. This shit right here, this is your motherfucking way of actually being an ambassador to the other side of the world. You said that you're a conservative, and I'm a leftist. But the fact that we can talk over the internet, we need to humanize people again. We need to actually say that I may have different beliefs than you, but you're still a fucking human. And I care enough that you're a human that I don't want to drop a bomb on you. I don't want to shoot you. I don't want to stab you. We need this fucking compassion in this fucking world. There is a genocide going on right now in Yemen because we're not saying anything about this country. We need this humanization from the people of different races or ethnicities. We need this humanization from men and women. We need this humanization from people across the globe because when we start to humanize people, and this is one of the main points, get to this main topic, when men that are lonely start to humanize women and start to see them as a person of equal value, you get a better situation. You definitely get a better situation.
Well, part of the problem here is this thing that people have today, that if someone doesn't agree with me, I don't like them. I hate them because they don't agree with me. And I think it's part of why you and I didn't work, didn't fit in with the Bill Greathouse channel, because the kind of the guys on there is like, oh, you don't agree with the conspiracies going on. Oh, well, I'm gonna kick you off. It's like, to me, as if I someone doesn't agree with me, like, it's like I might still like the guy. Yeah, we don't have the same viewpoints, but doesn't mean I have any kind of hatred towards the person because he doesn't have the same viewpoints as me. No one has the same viewpoints as me. I'm way out there. I march to the beat of my own drummer.
And a lot of times you don't have the same viewpoints with yourself. How much time do people spend practicing mindfulness to actually take stock in inventory
Yeah,
and what they think,
yeah.
what they believe, to
Well, yeah.
actually recognize some of the hypocrisies in their own way of thinking?
But that means you're growing. I mean, when I look back at my life, if I would look back 1 year and talk to myself 1 year from now, I would might be saying totally the exact opposite of what I'm saying today. If you're actually thinking and growing every month, you might be have a totally different mindset. But that shows you're growing. So why would you hate someone, or have anger with someone who has different viewpoints with you? I've been a total leftist in the past. I've been total. So it's like you can't hate someone for what they believe, or you don't realize it, because you might have been there in the past. And if you don't look back on what you say a year ago and say, oh man, I was an idiot, man, what was I thinking, then you're not growing. You're just kind of in this kind of stupor where you're doing your job, you're coming home, you're doing your thing around the house, and you go back to work again. You're not actually analyzing yourself. You're not growing.
One of the things that I said, and actually in a recent video, I don't think that I'm better than somebody who's an incel or MGTOW. I don't think that I'm better than them. I don't have any more inherent value. I just think my ideas are better than their ideas, and I am willing and able, and it gets me almost hard to have that debate with them. But I'm not better than them. They're not the trash that's coming to earth. I really think that their ideas need to be readjusted, but I'm not better.
Well, you can look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, or however it's called. Is that what Maslow? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's like the height of um, evolution of your mind is being self-actualized, being able to find your own, what's the word? Make up your own value on what you find valuable in life. Pat your own self on the back, so to speak. Where a lot of people who they're still dependent on the outside things. They're still dependent on, oh, I need a relationship, otherwise I'm not valuable. Forget that.
And that's the thing. Yes, okay. So you said it exactly. in fucking like I watched the Avatar: The Last Airbender, and it was like the Tales of Boston say what Iroh was saying for somebody. It's like, yes, of course you can have believe in yourself, but you can just need encouragement for others to help you, but they don't define you. Me having a relationship with somebody doesn't define me. It's just a welcome addition.
How many guy friends have you had that have stuck with you for more than 5 years, in your opinion?
Not many, but
Same here.
I was somebody who had a lot of female friends in high school. Some I did have some intimate relationship with, some I didn't, but I was made very aware, very aware of some of the shit that women go through, and I'm not okay with some of the shit that we expect our women to actually go through or deal with, and the mindset that breeds.
Well, I mean, look at the stress, the amount of expectation the average woman has today, and but the feminist system, she is expected to have a family, have a career, and have all this stuff, to be, and she's going to get a guy who's going to make her do all the house, who's going to expect her to do all the housework and clean up because he's a man, that's woman's work, but still, it's like all this work. I would be stressed out of my mind too.
I'm hate to say take it a little bit of darker tone, but there's a statistic that 1 out of 4 women have been assaulted, reportedly assaulted. Notice they said 1 out of 4 women have reported assault. The number's actually higher, and it doesn't come from people just being horny. A lot of it is a bitch better know a place, and I'm not okay with that, especially with somebody who enjoys the company of women and has a fucking daughter. No, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I have $2 also. I mean, so I know what you mean. It's like this kind of mindset that I mean, shoot, man, I wouldn't I wouldn't want to introduce my daughters to a guy who's like basically I'm in charge because it's the way it's supposed to be, and you actually and they actually think that you want it like that. This is what you want too.
Yeah, yeah, no, no. First, I pity the gentleman, or if she goes that way, the young lady that has to deal with my daughter, because she will not bow her head to anyone. I literally had the conversation. So you've seen Kill Bill before, right?
Yeah, parts of it.
So you remember the scene where she cuts off the motherfucker's head?
Yeah.
So you remember the speech that she gave? She's like, "I'm gonna say this as your leader. If you have a different plan, speak with me in a respectful way. But if you disrespect me, I take your motherfucking head." And I literally sat down and had that conversation, and I said like, "Hey, so you know, I'm gonna be your dad, and I'm gonna have a conversation. I'm gonna ask you to do things in a respectful way. And if you feel that you have to question me, please come to me in a respectful way. But I never want to have to tell you do something because I said so." And great conversation, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, who would you? Yeah, I'm talking about either a relationship or as a parent relationship. Like as a parent, like, do you really want to raise your kids to be little clones of you? That you gotta. I mean, you gotta be a parent, but you gotta at least give them room to grow.
But the moral of the story, now, after having this conversation with a 10-year-old, matter of fact, the last thing that I said, "Get out of here because I said so." Guess what happened?
What?
She went to turn, then she looked back at me, and I was like, "Damn, you're learning."
Yeah. Now, how old is your daughter?
She's about to be 13.
Okay, yours is a little older than mine. But I think the feminist thing, like in the Bill Gates House channel, they want to talk about feminism like it's some Rockefeller conspiracy, and there's some truth to that. I mean, I understand that there was some kind of CIA input in who they choose for these feminist leaders in the past. I understand all that, but the bottom line is you can't have this feminist world without the logistical things that go into it, the medical technology that allows people to sleep around without getting, we have the antibiotics to cure STDs, which we didn't have 100 years ago. So you and women have their own. Women can make, it's actually, people talk about the glass ceiling, but women will make, actually, if you look at the same career and the same line of work and the same number of years put in, women will actually make a little bit more than men.
Wait,
Now, if you look at,
wait,
go
wait,
ahead.
wait, wait. That's the 92 to 100 to 100. So it is different, but the reason why women actually make less because they've been socialized not to ask. So I don't know if you've ever heard of this conservative, but have you ever heard of a morning show called Morning Joe?
No.
So Joe Scarborough, I guess he was married to his co-host, but when she first started, she didn't want to ask for the money because she was conditioned not to. But like she was like, wait a minute, I'm just as important to this show. Now, when it comes down to it, I just want to actually address a point that you made about how we have medical technology that's advanced. I never want to punish women for having sex. We never want to actually say this slut should pay for the crimes that she made. That's why I'm for a woman's right to choose abortion. That's why I'm like, fuck yes, birth control should be not only a be able to be paid for the prescription, but should not be able to. You shouldn't have to do a co-payment for it. And oh yeah, the monthly menstrual needs that they need, that should not have a profit motive behind it. Because guess what? I like sex, and if a woman is healthy, I'm gonna be healthy.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. What I was getting at, though, is what I'm saying is like, if feminism could have been done 200 years ago and 100 years ago, and people didn't depend on each other for survival, and people could just marry or date based on the butterflies and the love kind of thing, which is kind of a new kind of thing, then they would have done it earlier. But they had this experience thing. It's not a conspiracy where they're trying to put money into film. It's just a natural progression. Medical technology allowed people to sleep around with like STDs, allowed birth control. Um, Women have their own jobs. Air conditioning. Physical strength is not part of making money anymore, like it was 100 years ago. You can be at a high school making minimum wage is $15 an hour in California. You can get a minimum wage job in an air conditioned office making $15 an hour. So the dependency on men is not there anymore. So and then medical technology has allowed this promiscuity which has taken place. This is the reason why women are kind of, you see kind of men complaining, oh, they did their 8 years in the university, and they can't find a wife. And they're kind of complaining about it because, well, it's because they don't really need your money, so they're not dependent on it.
Well, one thing that it actually, that is a good thing. One, we don't want to keep having backbreaking labor. That's the benefit of advancing technology. And two, at that point, the woman is choosing you. The woman is choosing who you are versus what you can do for her. And I don't
Yeah,
know, maybe that's just me. If a woman is choosing me, no matter what I can actually give to her, if it's small trinkets, if it's like other stuff, but she's choosing me because she likes me, I would say that's a plus.
that's a plus. I'd rather go through the whole life single than to be with some woman who's just there because she has to, which is the way hundreds of years ago. But at least now, if you're with someone, if a woman elects to give you her time, at least it's warranted. It's not because you got a house, or because she's you know.
mean, and the thing about it is too, like this whole you touched on like one of my motherfucking pet peeves of the motherfucking world. We need to kill romanticism. We need to kill it with fire. We need to burn down that bullshit of oh, just the one and only for the rest of my life. It was a lust of your life because you died at 23 of tuberculosis, motherfucker.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, we were talking before about growth, self growth, analyzing yourself and growing. When I look at what I said a month ago, a year ago, I'm like, oh, Espio, you're an idiot. What saying that? These videos I've done, and I say some stupid stuff. I'm Espio, were you drunk that day, or what are you, But that shows growth, though. It shows I'm learning, I'm growing. But if you can look at yourself and how much you have changed, if you're thinking. If you're thinking like you are, like some people watch my channel, your channel, these people are thinking. If you're one of these guys, you gotta respect that the partner you chose to get in a relationship or even marry or you have children with, they're gonna grow too. My ex-wife, when we got together, she was a hippie chick. I'm talking, braided hair, didn't shave her legs, no deal. Like she was a hippie chick, but she gets a new job and suddenly she's changing out and it's just different. So people, you gotta respect that though. People change.
So, and that's the thing. When people say the old form of marriage, most of the reasons why it lasted for people's lifetime is because women died in childbirth at like 26, 28. And it's just like, we're better than this. We can be better than that old stereotype. And not everything is going to work. Not everything, every new discovery is going to work. But it's just, we can be better. Don't lock yourself in this old way. Let's list that logical fallacy. Appeal to antiquity, because it worked in the past. It's gotta work now. If that was the case, then we wouldn't have fucking computers.
I mean, I guess some of these guys want to go back to the good old days. If it meant that their feudal lords said, okay, we need more children because we're going to go to war with this tribe over here. So you guys need to get married. You're the son of this guy, and she's the daughter of this girl. So you guys would be a good match to make a lot of babies. So you two need to start a farm together over here in this area. I guess a lot of guys would want to go back to that because at least they're not alone.
Well, we can always be like that great, wonderful book that says that you kill the mother, you kill the father, you kill all the males. And if a woman has not known a man, you can actually take her. And after a month of her mourning her family, she shaves her head and her head fingernails, and then she becomes your bride.
Whoa, what's that from?
The Bible.
Whoa. I never. What book was that from the Bible? Wow.
That's part of the Levitical law.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, but like Israel was at war with a lot of different, tribes in that time. It's like, and some people think that there was some kind of like, I'm getting the alien thing here, but some people think that, the angels came down and made with human women, from Genesis, and it wasn't like it was kind of some sci-fi stuff going on there.
I I love the fact that this is a little off the side. So if you actually read the X Men, there's a scene like they're doing the new X Men and Magneto, Apocalypse, Xavier, and like Cyclops are like having a war with humans. And the humans was, they were actually had a conference with humans, and the humans were actually having a conversation. It's like mutants are dangerous, and Apocalypse sits back and says, Apocalypse is in a suit, like in a black suit, looking like dapper. He's like, "Hey, do you know what's caused the Bronze Age fall?" And it was like, "No." He's like, "I did. Fuck with us if you want to."
Well, I mean, because like you look at I think it is in Book of Samuel. It says that Goliath had 6 fingers, and so some of the giants back then, because it describes Goliath as bad, and I think it said in cubits. And when you look at what a cubit is, like this guy had to be 10, 12 feet tall. Like, so I think that a lot of people put down the Bible for all the talk about this war with these people and it's ruthless. But I kind of think that this wasn't. these wasn't humans they were getting in battle with. These were like giants. These are people 10, 12 feet tall. They had 6 fingers, according to the book of Samuel. It said Goliath had 6 fingers. So I don't know these were humans.
Well, there's an interesting theory about that. So think about Samson was a quote unquote judge, and I've studied some of the stuff on the Bibles, but he remember when they captured him, they put him to the grind.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't talking about a windmill, and
What do you think they were talking
a
about?
few chapters later, giants sprung up.
Yeah, giants is something that not only the Bible but a lot of ancient texts have talked about. The Indian epics. Giants is something that but the Smithsonian doesn't want to talk about it. The Smithsonian, whenever there is the evidence on giants, the Smithsonian will take it and put it in a like an Indiana Jones kind of facility where they just like lock it away and don't let people see it.
I'm a science person. I okay, Occam's razor, which is more profitable? What takes the
Which is
least?
the simplest solution, right? Or
No,
simplest
actually, Occam's
cost.
razor is what takes the least of what takes the least of now amount of assumptions. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
us um here remote, right? So this remote controls a giant spaceship, and yeah, because reasons. Or you see how it says Xfinity? Maybe this remote controls my cable box. What takes the least amount of assumptions?
The cable box.
Exactly. So when you come to ancient man, they see bones of these big giant creatures, some of which are deformed or crushed. Maybe they're an animal that they don't know or they haven't experienced, or maybe it's a giant.
Yeah, but the academia has a lot of invested in the theory of history that they've been putting in the universities and so on. So they don't want to have to rewrite anything.
Actually, science, no, and this is one of the things. Science actually exists to prove people wrong. Think about it.
Yeah, to test theories. Yeah.
Think about it. Lamarckian evolution about your genes are passed down by taking stuff from your older body was accepted science in one form or another for 2,000 years. Lamarck actually put a name to it. But what did people start doing? They started questioning it. That's how you have Darwin's theory of evolution, which is not only a theory, which is the highest form of you know, scientific escalades, but it's also a law.
Yeah, like I think that, but when you have a big institution, you got a lot of dogma. You have a lot of dogma involved, and you got a lot of professors who want to keep what they have going. So you get a lot of dogma in a lot. I mean, yeah, there's less in the hard sciences, of course, like biology, and so on. But when it comes to history and archaeology, there is a lot of dogmas that students do have to kind of tilt their papers towards to try to get their funding, get their grants, and so on. So
No,
um,
actually, if you can prove something wrong, you actually get more money by proving something wrong. You get more notoriety by proving something wrong than actually accepting it.
hmm. Is that your line of work you were in? Are you in the sciences?
No, I'm just an enthusiast. But every step that you see, for example, let's go with the theory of gravity, which is less evol- less evolved than its theory of evolution. But you all those big pop things, like you know, first it was Newton, then um, it was Newtonian, then it was Einstein, the theory of relativity, and people are constantly working to prove these guys wrong. That's the big money in science. Is to say like you're wrong. Here is the fucking facts. And that's what a lot of people actually miss about science. It's actually not a dogma. There is a systematic way of performing tests, but in science, it's one of those things where the joke in prison, when you get to the big dog, you come and hit the biggest person, because that's how you make your chops. Not going along with everything, but actually saying, hey, my theory is better, my formula is better, and fuck you.
Yeah, I study when it comes to hell. I study a guy named, I don't know if you heard of Ray Pete. But he's into the health thing. But he always talked about how when he got to the University of Oregon, he wanted to go into medicine, but then when he got to the when he went to that field, there was too much dogma in it. So he decided to study biology, specifically the biology of the thyroid, because there was more room to say your own thesis without having to submit to the dogma of the people who've been there before you. So that's where I get that from. But I mean, obviously, it's different every university.
So with now, I will say this: is there a concerted lobbyist effort of making profit with things? I will
Yes.
give you that. But when it comes to just the pure science, when it comes to publishing shit and actually putting out, just putting out that, hey, I know this. Hey, this is the thing. Scientists, like, when they say it's a peer review process, they literally take your steps that you do to prove you wrong, and they publish when people are proved wrong. And that's like one of the great things about science, is that you actually see, like, scientists would eviscerate each other. That's why the whole thing about climate change is just like, when you have 97% of the scientists, they are literally saying, like, hey, these scientists say that this is the thing. And even oil company scientists is like, yeah, this is going to be a problem in 30 years.
Hey, how much more time do you have tonight?
I pretty much have to get up for work in the next,
Oh,
but
can you just go over one more thing before you go?
sure, no problem.
What would you advise to men who are? I mean, obviously, you said you're polyamorous. You've been through a lot of relationships in your life. You have a child. What would you advise to these men? I mean, besides what we talked about before, they gotta lose the hatred. They gotta lose the stereotypes. You gotta do this. I gotta do this. They gotta be comfortable with being themselves. They gotta be comfortable with allowing their partner to be themselves. But what else can you advise men who are in this? And I'm gonna step out real quick. I'm just gonna get some water. And while you tell us,
No
please.
problem. So, one of the things that I would advise, just from you guys, that failure with one woman does not mean the end of the world. Also, make friends. Make friends that you don't think that you're gonna fuck. And also, just also remember this. Whereas you as a human need social interaction, you're not entitled to a person's body. Please stop that. Please stop that. Please stop feeling that you're entitled to a woman's body. You're not. Just as a person wouldn't be entitled to your body, show that same respect. And also, you can't throw life on easy mode. I wish it was the case, but life doesn't have an easy mode. It doesn't have a zero level. It doesn't have a training level. We are hit with this horrible condition called life. And that's it. So,
Yeah, sorry about that.
no
I mean,
problem.
we to go off that. I mean, I taught the first time I got on the Bill Greathouse channel. They hated me because what I told you is I understand these issues, but really it's kind of a first world problem, so to speak, because it's like looking at human history. I talked about on my channel going back 4 to 10,000 years ago, looking at chromosome studies of who's reproducing more, how much the male chromosome compared to the female chromosome is being passed on. They said that during this time period, about for every, how is it, for 17 women that reproduce, only one man reproduced. Okay, so today we actually have it good today when it comes to.
You know what? The mechanics of how a penis works is surprisingly dictated by a woman having more than one sexual partner.
Oh, the way it's formed to kind of like plunge out
Yes,
the, yeah.
and that's ironically that's the reason why it takes so much for a woman to orgasm because you know, hey, like they're designed as a to have more than one guy, and I never want to go back to a place where it was the big strong alpha male would get all the women because in reality a lot of the guys that are incels that are true force loneliness they still wouldn't be at the top of that hierarchy.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. But yes, I think the mindset is just kind of a little bit off. It's a little bit entitled, like you said. It's a little bit, I deserve this because but nothing in life, not relationship, nothing in life is you don't deserve anything in life, and you can't base your happiness on I deserve this in life, whether it's a job, whether it's a partner, whether it's children. It's just it's like I think of it as kind of like a someone in the Disney princess kind of mindset.
First, Mulan is not a princess. Don't denigrate her to a princess. She's a fucking warlord, and she fucking earned her stripes. But anyway, I have to say that. I say that for me and my daughter joke about that all the time. Mulan's not a princess. She's a
Oh,
warlord. She's a general, and
well, that
she
was
earned.
probably the best Disney movie. That was probably the best one.
But the thing about it is, guys, you can't fuck on easy mode. I'm sorry. Even when it looks like somebody is fucking on easy mode, they are not fucking on easy mode. They are opening themselves up to be hurt way more than what the pickup artists actually do. They are like saying like, "Hey, I'm being vulnerable." And you know what? When you're not an emotionless monster, people actually reciprocate your emotions to you.
When you're open with people emotionally, when you say what you think, and you're not on this kind of trip that this is what I'm supposed to be, this is what you're supposed to be. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, like I've gotten conversations, and this is funny. I was having a conversation with my friend. I'm gonna put it on my video today. It was just like I literally talked about being a protector of people, and like it's even though it's a voice chat, she saw the emotions that I was having, and it was just like, damn, this is the motherfucking man that I like, who is not afraid to share emotions. Crying does not make you weak, guys. Being hurt does not make you weak. Ignoring that pain, thinking that everything is a-okay, is not. That's weakness. That is not stoicism. I'm tired of hearing the wrong definition of stoicism. Stoicism is being okay in the worst of fucking times. Being where it's like this is hurting to me, like the joke about Marcus Aquilius, where the people are coming for him, like he had been exiled multiple times, and at the end, the emperor of Rome, uh, Marcus Aquilius Seneca, the emperor says, "You will kill yourself," and the guards are coming from him. The guards are saying, "It's time to die," and his wife and his children are weeping, and he doesn't say, "Stop crying. I'm gonna die like a man." The fucking it's so bittersweet that he says, why weep over parts of life when the whole thing deserves tears?
Yeah. I don't know who would want to go through this life where you're just kind of a robot and you're supposed to hide your emotions, hide your personality. You know, that's no way to live life.
It's not.
Well, life is about the ups and downs. It's about the loss and the happiness. It's a roller coaster. It's not. But this the thing you're supposed to be as because you're a man. You're supposed to be an emotional robot. Like I just don't get it.
I will say this. I will say this. With it's like, and I have a points about sarcasm and satire and how people miss it. But like, if you ever read the quotes of Nietzsche, some of the things with Nietzsche was a very flawed and lonely individual. But goddamn, he cared about shit. He fucking cared about shit. And yeah, it's like you have to go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, sorry. He I think when he talked about the master and slave morality, it wasn't so much that I mean he looked highly on emotion and passion. He thought that was he what he disliked is when that emotion and passion was from an external thing rather than from an internal thing.
God is
So
dead and we have killed him. Who can wash away the blood of iniquities from our stained hands? It wasn't saying that we killed God. He was saying that the wonder of life has been killed from us advancing in science. But science and culture should be that thing that has been should replace that we have lost through our learning more shit. But my favorite fucking quote, and this is something that I have to make sure that I follow, and I'm gonna have to end this on this with the people that are TFL, incels, MGTOWs, and this is what I have to center myself on. When you fight monsters, make sure in that process that you do not become them. And when you stare long enough into the void stares back into you.
hey, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate. I like that you're giving because a lot of people from the TFL channel view this channel, you know. But so I appreciate you coming on. I'm glad you got to say what you I think wanted to say, but you weren't given the time to. I'm gonna call this video. This is a series I'm doing. It's called Banned by Bill. Okay, I had a, it's gonna be a series of people who have been banned on the program. And I got a whole list of people who want to come on.
I will say this. I don't like if you've watched other videos I have videos where I talk about like two other guys and they're like super religious. One is G-Man. If you haven't seen who G-Man is, oh boy. Like he has some of the same mindsets that these guys are, but he also stokes his mindset in religion, and he's not that smart. But yeah, and Dragonite Sylvius has a great channel talking about G-Man. That's incel on a personal level that's also super religious. So yeah, I would encourage watching his channel.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'm gonna put the link on the description of my video here. I'm gonna put the link to your channel, Crimson. Thanks so much for coming on. I hope we can talk more. You have an amazing knowledge of history. I love talking to you.
Oh, I'm just crazy and I sit back and watch YouTube and read Wikipedia all day.
Hey, you have a good night. Thank you.
Too, man.